Despite very minor nerfs in the B patch, JAX has been a monster since the PBE. If you want to know what happens when JAX gets a real weapon, then stick around, because we're covering one of the most broken carries in the game. In the early game, you'll be looking for Defender 2 with Wukong and an early item holder. There are plenty of variations, but this is the one I prefer. Camille is a strong early carry, and Admin 2 can provide solid buffs to get you through the early game. If you can't find Camille, any backline carry can hold Ginsu's. This includes Ashe, Kayle, Gangplank, Jinx, and Sivir. You can also put items on Draven early, but only if you get an extra copy to remake him once you get JAX. Now I know backline carries don't like Titan's Resolve as much, so if you have a disposable frontliner who you plan to get rid of, giving it the Titan's Resolve isn't a bad idea. At level 5, you can add in any brawler unit. Vi or Riven are the preferred choices. With both of them on the board, you'll be able to swap out Poppy at level 6 or 7 for Brawler 4. Moving into the mid game, this is what your level 7 board should look like. You'll spend most of your time here on this level. You want to slow roll for JAX 3-star. If you're high rolling other units, Riven 3 and Vi 3 are great finds. You might also be able to secure upgrade units like Leona or Echo over Alistar, and Sejuani over Lee Sin. Now if you get extremely lucky and find both Set and Leona, drop down to Brawler 2 and put them in for Mecha Prime 5. In this situation, just get rid of your weakest brawlers. Vi needs to stay in to maintain Aegis, but Lee Sin and Riven can be subbed out. If Set is the only 1-star, then let him be absorbed into JAX, and let Draven hang back for extra safe damage and executions from Ace. Don't get rid of Riven, as you'll want her again at level 9, and you can sell Lee Sin in that scenario because you're bound to get Sejuani by then. Now your late game board isn't much different from the mid game style. You simply add in the last 2 Mecha Prime units. As you might have noticed, with this comp, you're sitting on Defender 3, so if you happen to get a Defender Augment, it's really solid into heavy AD boards. But if your lobby is mostly ability power, don't pick it up. That would be a wasted slot. At level 9, you're looking for Sejuani 2, Leona 2, and Set 2-star. You want to skip over level 8 as fast as possible, so don't spend gold rolling down for units until level 9. Just throw in whatever you can until you hit 9 to throw in the last 2 mechas or brawlers. From here, the game is decided on augments, items, and positions, so let's cover that now. If you want to rank up fast and improve, then you need to subscribe to my channel, so you never miss out on the latest meta updates and comp guides like this one. Now for carry items, ideally, you'll go from Camille to JAX, but if you can't hit Camille early, then any backline carry is usable. JAX's items are very unique, so to maintain early power, you want to pick up the first carousel item with Bow to flex either Ginsu's or Titan's Resolve, or pick up Rod to flex Ginsu's again or Jeweled Gauntlet. Ginsu's is the best early item to maintain flexibility, and it's the only mandatory item here. Titan's Resolve can be swapped out for QSS if you have to, and Jeweled Gauntlet can be swapped out for Death Cap, Archangel Staff, or Hand of Justice if needed. Unless Jinx is the early carry, avoid slamming your AP power item until you have JAX. Now for tank items, you want to move from any early game brawler to a late game brawler. Vi is the earliest unit you'll have who can be on the board all game, so giving it to her is a safe choice, but ideally, Sejuani is the best item holder for tanks. The items to get would be Warmogs, Sunfire Cape, and either Bramble or Dragon's Claw depending on your lobby. Avoid Gargoyle Stoneplate. Brawler comps have way too many units in the front line to get any real value from it. Protector's Vow and Redemption are good if you have to slam something and don't have access to the other options. For extra value items, Redemption and Protector's Vow shine as bonus items when you've covered all your bases. Also, if you can make Morello but don't have access to Sunfire Cape, Sejuani is a great Morello holder. Finally, Chalice isn't bad to give JAX more ability damage. Now let's talk about augments. Brawler Crown and Crest is really strong because it allows you to fit in more Aegis units. You should give it to Echo if possible. Verdant Veil is actually a great choice because there's a ton of late game synergy. This augment is useful against Urgot, Janna, Fiddlesticks, and Syndra. Most importantly, JAX needs time to ramp up, and CC counters it, so this augment is very powerful in this comp. Electro Charge is always good in brawler comps because of the additional HP to proc more damage. Add to that, JAX will be huge with the mecha buffs. He can easily 1v9 boards with the electro damage. Another augment that scales with HP, Exiles is really good for adding durability to your board. It might be a bit difficult to manage the spacing since the comp is mostly melee units, but very much worth it. Now, Cybernetic Shell is the only cybernetic I would choose in this comp. It's a decent choice if you have a lot of items. It adds good durability, but there are better options. Celestial Blessing is really strong to help JAX 1v9 rounds, and that will happen often in this comp. Second Wind scales with HP, making it a really good choice if you lack tank items. Pretty much every frontline unit will meet the qualifications for Big Friend. There are better choices choices for survivability, but this one is very useful still. Just keep in mind, you can't play this with exiles. Now, scoped weapons is giga broken on JAX. If you get this, avoid taking QSS or Verdant Veil, since JAX will mostly be safe to free hit. If you get this augment, you should always take it. Now let's talk about hero augment choices. If presented with JAX, you should always take any one of JAX's hero augments. They are both great choices. Alongside JAX is Sejuani. She has great choices for both of her augments, and they're both top tier. Now in the middle tier, we have Echo. Both of Echo's augments are really great to use. The only reason he's not a tier higher is because he only provides Aegis and is not a brawler. Next is Riven. Riven's augments both provide survivability, but Triumphant Return is better than Reverberation because it scales with HP and gives to multiple units in an aura around her. Vi only has one useful choice here, and that's boxing lessons. You don't want her carry augment option. Now in the bottom tier, we have Renekton. His only good choice is Cole the Meek. It provides great damage, but he's a weak solo unit in the late game. And for our final choice, we have Blitzcrank. You only want Rocket Grab with him for some good CC, but again, he's a weak solo unit, so he's at the bottom. Now let's move on to positioning. It's really simple to play JAX. Your main concern is to avoid major CC like Urgot, Janna, and Fiddlesticks. Your next priority is to avoid getting tank locked, and that's really simple. Just make sure to keep JAX away from the main enemy tanks. Lastly, if the enemy carry is melee, you want JAX as close to them as possible. The goal is to get JAX hitting the enemy carry ASAP to get them off the board. But what if the enemy carry is ranged? Then you want JAX to be as far away as possible. This is because it's more likely for JAX to continue killing melee units until they're all dead, before moving on to the enemy backline. You need to buy as much time as possible for JAX to not be targeted. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Swagadelic.